There were some interesting MBTI or ISTP related topics that came up on the forums this week, and I don't really have a whole lot to say about any of them, so I decided to combine them all into one video. And yes, I'm recording this during the Super Bowl. So this first one is just a general question that MBTI newbies tend to ask a lot, which is like, can you be a combination of two types? Or, I get a different result each time I take the test, or I score, 50% NS, or, PJ, or whatever. Okay, so the basic answer is no, you can't be two types. You are one type. You are always one type. And if you score a different result each time, or if you get like a borderline score, well, that just means that you got uncertain test results, and you have to like dig deeper to find out what your actual type is. And then some will say, well, who says you had to follow such strict rules? Catherine Briggs and Isabel Myers and CPP, that's who. I mean, no one's forcing you to use MBTI theory at all, but the point is, if you're going to use the MBTI, then you have to know how it's defined, otherwise you're just talking about something else. So, according to MBTI as it's defined, there is no such thing as being a mix of two types. It's as simple as that. This next question is, when do you consider yourself to be an adult? Besides the obvious when you turn 18 or whatever legal adult is in your country. And let's face it, no one feels like an adult at age 18. So the definition of adulthood that I came up with, and this, just really only applies to me and anyone who can relate to what I'm saying here, is adulthood is being in a position where your parents no longer have the power to decide how you're going to live your life. Basically, it's just about being independent. Now, maybe, that may mean you live with your parents. It might mean that your parents still make decisions for you. But the point is, you're allowing them to. In other words, your parents aren't forcing you to do anything, and it doesn't mean you're incapable of making your own decisions. It just means you trust your parents enough to be able to advise you on certain matters. Nor does it mean that you're an adult if you rebel against your parents just for the sake of being rebellious and then proceed to make stupid decisions that mess up your life. No, the key to being an adult, in my definition, is just being capable of supporting yourself and making smart life decisions. Okay, we're going to go a little deeper now. There seems to be this idea that ISTPs are more often than not atheists or agnostic. Basically, you just tend to reject religion, and there seem to be some questions as to why that's the case. Most people seem to think it's because ISTPs are logical thinkers, or are too logical to believe in a religion. And some say it's just because ISTPs are realistic. That's what you'll generally hear from the ISTPs who actually are atheists or agnostic. And then that would raise the question, well, how can you be an ISTP and a Christian? Okay, well, so my answer to that is basically, ISTPs are just among the types that are more likely to figure out their own beliefs for themselves. Now, that may lead an ISTP to be an atheist or agnostic, or a conservative Christian, or a liberal Christian, or a Hindu, or a Muslim, or a crazy cult member, or whatever. Now, the thing that I've encountered a lot amongst certain other types is that their beliefs are based almost entirely on either embracing the belief system they grew up in or rebelling against it, depending on whether their experiences with it were good or bad. Whereas ISTPs are more likely to question the belief system they grew up in, whether or not it was a good or bad experience, and then they'll figure out their own beliefs for themselves, independently of their childhood beliefs, whatever they happen to be. Someone asked if ISTPs make good counselors. Okay, I guess some people got that idea because ISTPs are good problem solvers and in some cases good listeners. I don't know. See, to me, being a good counselor is more than just that. I would say being a good counselor should be measured by positive results in the lives of the people being counseled. In which case, generally, no, I'm not a good counselor. I mean, sure, people are usually pretty comfortable venting their problems to me, and I'm usually good at figuring out the nature of the problems and coming up with good advice. But the thing is, people rarely actually listen to my advice, or in the rare cases that they actually do listen to my advice, they don't follow it. So, basically, these people just want to vent, not actually seek counseling from me. But, I don't know, perhaps I am a good counselor and I just don't know it because I haven't actually had a chance to prove myself to be. But, more likely not. I mean, there's a reason why the only people that come to me and ask you for advice are the people who don't actually want advice. Anyway, that's as far as I want to go there. One thing I've noticed about certain other types, especially NFs, is that when they're dealing with a person whose behavior they don't like for whatever reason, they want to try to understand the person's behavior. They want to try to understand why the person is doing that thing, and somehow just understanding makes them feel better about it or makes them more accepting of the person, and that's fine if that's the case. In fact, it's probably a good thing. But see, here the thing is, what they don't realize is that ISTPs don't operate the same way. When something annoys me, I don't care why the annoying thing is happening. I just want it to stop. Now, of course, in a lot of cases, understanding the why can lead us to a solution to stopping the annoying thing. But the point is, understanding is a means to an end. And just understanding it alone just doesn't really do anything for us. So, for example, if I were to complain about something a person is doing, and then a lot of times they'll try to explain why they're doing it, and I'm just like, okay, but just still, don't do that. And that is what's on my mind during this Super Bowl Sunday. Come on, focus. I'm right here, focus. Dude, man. I'm usually good at figuring out